Hi, friends. I'm Nancy Fox.
And it's me, Elaine Doran. Welcome back to Deep Diving Divas, where we believe it is never too late to dive into the conversations that actually matter.
And today we are diving into something that confuses so many of us: food. What to eat, what not to eat, and what suddenly doesn't work anymore, and why every headline seems to contradict the last one.
Yeah, like keto, Mediterranean, plant-based, high protein, low protein, light carb. I don't know what you go, everything in your 50s or beyond. I mean, it can feel like the rules keep changing, and somehow your body did not get that memo.
Yeah, this is why we're so excited to welcome registered dietitian and certified diabetics educator, Paulette Lambert. Paulette spent more than 20 years in private practice and later served as the director of nutrition at the California Health and Longevity Institute at the Four Seasons.
Paulette is known for helping build a healthy life, a realistic relationship with food. She also is the author of The Wellness Kitchen and a trusted nutrition expert who's been seen in major media.
Listen, it's not about restriction, guilt, or quick fixes. It's all about what our bodies actually need and how to eat in a way that supports long term health.
So, if you've ever asked yourself, which I'm sure most of us say, what should I really be eating at this stage in my life? This conversation is for you.
Hey there, friends, it's Nancy and Elaine. They're the Deep Diving Divas, it's quite a name. They're diving deep into the things that matter most, from friendships to family and so much more. Join them each week for a splash of fun.
Welcome, Paulette. It's so nice to finally meet you.
And Paulette, we met, maybe 35 years ago. I had my restaurant, Nancy's Healthy Kitchen, and you were the premier nutritionist, dietitian. Everybody living in the San Fernando Valley, everyone I know that needed a nutritionist, everybody went to you or one of your associates. Like,
Yeah, nice to see you too. It's been a long time, but
It's good. Well, Paulette, let's get started with the big picture because we have so much to talk about today. Why do so many popular diets fail long term? What is the problem?
you know, I think the problem with the diets that come out, and this is the time of year usually we get two or three new ones added to the big list of fad diets. It's January, everybody's kind of diet conscious. I think they fail because they don't take into account for individual needs medically or psychologically. They're very restrictive, and usually that kind of restriction, most of us who probably need to go on a diet and probably lose a few pounds don't always have that type of willpower to do something that restrictive. And so I think that's why they fail. It's hard. People eat out, people have active lifestyles and food issues and that, and they don't often take into account any of that. And so it's very hard to stay on something that's very different than normal eating habits. And even though your normal eating habits may not be good, they're your habits, and how you change those. There's a science to making change successful, but it's not usually turning everything upside down at one time. It's too much, and we don't have the motivation or the ability just to do that much change and be successful.
okay, so then what actually changes in our bodies as we age that affects our weight, our energy, and how we respond to the food that we put in our bodies?
It's a lot of physical changes that happen after 50. Hormone changes for women. Menopause is a huge issue. What happens? Metabolism slowed down as we age, not because the number changes. Basically, metabolism slowed down as we lose muscle and develop more body fat. Body fat's an easy keeper, kind of like with animals. We would say it doesn't take much feed to keep these going. If you have more body fat and less muscle, you don't have a fast metabolism. A pro athlete can eat a lot, not because they move a lot, and they do, but they have so much muscle mass, it burns fuel quickly. So as we age, we automatically lose muscle if we're not working on gaining it constantly, and we develop more body fat. Your weight may not have changed that much, but the composition has changed. And when that happens, it slows down the metabolism. So metabolism's one thing that makes it harder. The other thing is our needs are different. Our ability to absorb nutrients isn't the same as we get older. Our GI tracts are not as efficient. The body is aging. And so our needs are a little bit different than they would be. But again, fad diets don't take a lot of that into account. And it doesn't often take into account your really food preferences or your style of eating that you've had most of your life. It's difficult to make yourself eat something that you've never eaten your whole life or that you absolutely do not like and make yourself eat it. Can you learn to like things? Yes, but generally, slowly over a long period of time, that happens. Fad diets and extreme dieting has not been successful for most people.
It's so interesting because diets are never labeled as this is a good diet for somebody in their 30s or 40s. But if you're over 50 or 60, consult your doctor. I mean, something, because everybody thinks it's the same. And of course, they see celebrities. And I think everybody wants to mirror whatever they're doing, and then they're going to look like them. But I mean, so how can women simplify their food choices, without feeling that kind of guilt or restriction or, denying themselves? It's that. And I think for some of my friends I know now at our age, we go, I've had it. I have been dieting for the last 60 years, 70 years. I'm not going to deny myself. And then they start eating all this junk. How can people simplify that?
Well, I think instead of going on a diet, I think we should start thinking about, I need to eat for what I want to weigh. So if you're 20 pounds overweight, you don't need to go on an extreme diet, but cutting down a couple hundred calories a day, which is relatively easy, can make a difference of 2 pounds a month. And, you could lose in 6 months, you could lose 10 pounds. And so I think we have to think about not dieting, but how to change our food to be the right portions for what you want to weigh. And then increasing activity, cutting back a little bit on your food portions will get you where you want to go and not make things so deprivation. And I think there's room for a dessert every once in a while. Like, I always let my clients, we always use the terms with kids, 2 treats a week. You decide what those treats are going to be. Like you're going to end up having, I'm going to have a scoop of ice cream, or I'm going to have a half a dessert, split a dessert in a restaurant with my husband, where you don't have to feel deprived. That should be part of your caloric intake. I think I see a lot of issues with people wanting to drink quite a bit of alcohol, the 2 glasses of wine every night. And that's really a tough one to cut food down that much to accommodate it. And so you have to really look at, what do I do overall and what is reasonable where I can get a calorie decrease and a little bit of activity increase, and I can slowly see some weight loss. For most people, 2 or 3 pounds a month is good weight loss. If you can keep it steady. If you're morbidly obese, that's a different story. But, that 10, 30 pound range in there, 2 or 3 pounds a month is good weight loss.
I mean, what's the hurry? If you want to keep off the weight long term, it seems like it's better to go slow. So it will be more realistic, right?
Right. Instead of thinking of dieting, thinking I need to eat like what I'd like to weigh. Yeah. So it means for most of us, a 200 or 300 calorie cut a day can make a very big difference.
All right. So then a lot of women out there are wondering, or men, let's be honest, is it too late? Like, okay, we're hearing about your practical approach, which I love. And that, it's a marathon, not a sprint, right? To lose the weight you want to lose. But can it be too late?
No, it's not too late. I don't think it's too late at any age if there's extra body fat that it negatively causes more inflammation in the body, causes more problems with blood sugar, et cetera. So no, it's not too late. But what you do to do that is what we need to focus on. I would say, yes, it's too late to do extreme dieting. It is not healthy. It basically deprives your body of nutrients that it needs for aging, for healthy aging, and for longevity. So yes, it's too late to be doing crazy dieting. It's time to settle down and say, what do I need to eat to weigh what I want to weigh? And what does that mean? An everyday food intake, how often can I have a cheat and still keep moving slowly down the scale in the next few months toward the weight that I want to weigh?
So, what does that actually look like when you talk about, like, what are you having for breakfast, lunch, and dinner?
Well, it depends on what you weigh.
Is that a personal question? Is that too personal?
No, not at all. I mean, I honestly eat like what I'm talking about. I do. I mean, my weight's not changed since college.
You told me what you had for breakfast, and it was like, really? Do you have that every
I
day?
had about 3/4 of a cup of plain shredded wheat with bran, a high protein, non-fat milk, a filtered milk that means more protein, less carb. And I had a half a banana and about a 1/4 cup of blueberries on it and stevia. And I probably eat that 6 days a week. And I get tired of that after a year, and I'll move over to have a high fiber English muffin with a tablespoon of peanut butter and a half a banana. I kind of do the same thing for days at breakfast, or weeks, even months. And then I go, oh, I'm tired of that. Now I'm going to go over here and eat this.
So Paulette, let me ask you a question to that. And that is it bad to, if you love what you love and you're just kind of answering our question, is it okay to eat the same thing every day for breakfast?
I think for breakfast it is. If you're eating something really healthy, it's a good time for me. I mean, I went years eating oatmeal with yogurt on it and fruit. I mean, a whole grain, a fruit, and some protein, any interpretation of that you would like to make. Let me say one thing. Eating habits between men and women are very different. And I think that's a really important thing to discuss at this point.
Yes.
Women have a tendency to love carbs. We are the sugar queens and the carbs more so. And there's men that like a lot of sugar too, but no, women have a tendency with carbs in general. Men have a problem with a lot of protein, wanting to eat the 12-ounce steak, wanting to eat 2 chicken breasts. We could care less most of the time about that kind of intake of food. Right. So when you look at differences between men and women, which really play out at older ages just as well as it does at younger ages, for women, additional 2 or 3 extra carb servings a day can cause a 20, 30 pound weight gain in a year. Know what your portions of your food should be. For a man who's eating 12, 15 ounces of protein, more protein than you could ever utilize or need, even if he's bodybuilding, that becomes the extra calories. So look at your intake and say, where am I off the track? Nobody's off the track on eating too many vegetables. Hasn't happened.
Right.
It's not going to happen. The calories are so low.
What if there's sugar in the vegetables? So I love sweet peas,
There's certain vegetables that we consider grains, sweet peas, sweet potatoes, and potatoes, basically, and corn. Yes. And any kind of beans or lentils. Those are grains, or could be the lentils and beans could be protein as well, but they're basically starches, carbohydrates. And so for most women, and I've seen thousands and thousands of middle-aged to older women through my very long career in seeing people, most women are doing more than the right amount of servings of carb a day. I can tell you the magic number for most of us is 5 servings of carb a day.
And define those. So walk us through what those 5 would be.
Okay. A piece of bread, 1 ounce of bread is. So if you eat a bagel that weighs 5 ounces, that's 5 carb servings. Hello. The calories, they're 80 to 120 calories. It's an ounce of bread. Half a cup of cooked grain is a serving. On a cereal box, it'll say 200 calories for a cup. That's 2 grain servings. And so we don't know that. And therefore we're eating more than we should of that one thing. For men, they think the more protein, the better. And women are kind of falling into this trap as well. But if you're eating 2 big chicken breasts for dinner, or you're getting an 8-10 ounce piece of meat on your plate, fish or meat on your plate, it's more than you need. Women probably at dinner should have about 4 ounces. Men probably not more than 6 ounces at one meal.
Of course, of breakfast, lunch, and dinner, look at the buzzes, protein, add more protein. So how much protein for women and how much for men in the course of a day do you recommend?
So it's really easy to calculate protein. We recommend about 0.8 grams per kilogram of body weight. So divide your weight by 2.2 times 0.8, and that's grams. Now remember, there's protein in vegetables and there's protein in grains as well. Not high biological protein, there's some protein. So I make it easy. I tell my women clients, eat about 7 ounces of protein a day. Men, 9 to 10 ounces a day. Not a meal, a day. So if I have a scoop of tuna that's 2 or 3 ounces at lunch, I'm good. But if I end up having a double burger with cheese on it, I'm probably going to get, that's 2/4, that's 8, but probably 8, 9 ounces of protein in one sandwich.
I think you have to be good in math besides being, wealthy. A little bit, but you have to really figure this out.
But the real issue is, what is your issue? What are you eating too much of that you think you're eating too much of? And correct that. You don't need to deal with, you couldn't eat too many vegetables. If they're vegetables, you really can't eat too many vegetables. Very few of us eat the recommended 3 fruits a day, 3 servings of fruit a day. And know what a fruit serving is a piece of fruit, an apple, an orange, half a banana, 10 grapes are a fruit. Likely most of us aren't even doing 3. We need to do 3, but We're not doing 3. Can't eat too many vegetables. And then grain servings for women should be 4 to 5 a day. And men should probably be at 6 or 7 a day.
What ages? So is this really women starting at age 20 and above, or the criteria that you're giving us, the guidelines, is it any age?
I would say any age, but particularly for anybody over 40, because that's when we start losing muscle mass and we end up slowing down our metabolisms. I mean, we really see it at menopause with women, but usually by the time, I mean, how many of us could eat what we did when we were 20 when we're 40?
Yeah.
Eat anything you want. Not very many of us get away with that. So as every decade goes by, things slow down a little bit. And so this is why we need to know what portion sizes are in our food. What is a portion size? But for women, very often I just have women come in and say, you know what? Keep your desserts to twice a week. 2 glasses of wine is 1 dessert, a scoop of ice cream, a piece of cake, normal small portion size twice a week. Do your 4 to 5 carb servings a day. They lose 2 or 3 pounds a month. Pretty easy. Because they don't eat that. Most women don't eat that much protein. We're not so big on that. I mean, how many women order 12-ounce steaks? That's not very typical of women, or double burgers. It's kind of not what we like to eat. We're like the carb queens. We want to eat that. We'll eat lots of pasta and lots of bread and lots of crackers. And we like that kind of stuff. Men try to keep their protein at 9 ounces a day and be more vegetables, more fruit, and keep your grains controlled.
With that in mind, what is one of the biggest nutrition mistakes you see people doing? Not just that they're, buying the up your protein, but what are we doing that we don't even realize we're doing?
We don't eat balanced meals, and 75% of the food intake in this country is processed food. Mm-hmm. 75% of the food is processed food. So the bars, the breakfast bars, the snack bars. I mean, we all grew up, we didn't have bars. None of us at this age had bars. Somehow you got hungry. Your mom said, get an apple or get a piece of bread. And, that was kind of it. There wasn't a whole lot of this kind of processed food choice. And I look at little children, what they eat now in this country. It's highly processed food. So going back to basic real food is recommended for any age group, especially as you get older, because the nutrition level of value is so much higher than it is in processed food.
What about supplements at our age? I mean, that seems to be the magic thing that people think, well, I'm taking these supplements, so I'm okay.
Supplements can be needed, especially as we get older, but we need to be very careful about what those extend. For most of us that don't have severe medical concerns or not taking huge amounts of medication, a multivitamin at 100% of the RDA, not 5,000% of the RDA, because those are mega doses. And you think, well, that's not a problem. Well, it's a problem because your body has to get rid of it. Can't utilize it. It gets rid of it and goes through the kidneys and goes through the liver. So now we're going to make our liver and our kidneys even do more work. And as we age, we need to protect those essential organs, or otherwise we're going to get in trouble in our 70s and 80s with, oh, your kidney function's not as good as it should be. It's working too hard. We've had too much protein a lifetime, and we're taking mega doses of supplements that have to clear through your liver and your kidneys. Not a healthy thing. But a multivitamin for seniors, or a multivitamin for anybody over 50 that's 100% of the RDA, can be a good choice. I don't really think it's needed. I don't take it because I eat a lot of vegetables and fruit, and I eat balanced meals. But if you want the insurance policy, or you happen to be on a medication, and I take one preventive medication because of my family history, and it lowers folic acid. I take a folic acid once a day. That's it.
That's it. Amazing.
I take a little tiny folic acid in normal amounts just because of that issue. But again, we're taking way too many supplements. We're looking at that as a way to preserve health. In fact, I just saw somebody, a friend of mine, he's in his early 80s, and he said he's going into kidney failure. And I was at his house. He says, what about this? Should I be taking this? He opened his cupboard, and I was shocked. There was bottle after bottle after bottle of all these different kinds of supplements in mega doses. I said, no way. You are going to tax your your kidneys further. It's not just a diet issue. It's also that you're taking way too many supplements. So you should check with your physician. But what we can recommend is a multivitamin, either for adults. And I like the multivitamins that are for women and multivitamins for men, because women, younger women need to have a little bit more iron, but right after menopause, you don't need the extra iron. So a multivitamin for over 50 or over 60 is good. Look it down, the thing, it should be very close to 100% in most all those nutrients.
That makes sense.
And then
Right.
vitamin D, as we all put our sunblock on and trying to save our skin, sunblock, and we're not necessarily out in the sun every day, taking vitamin D at a level that your physician recommends, usually 1,000 a day is plenty for everybody. If you happen to be very low, we'll put you on 5,000 for 3 or 4 months to get your levels back to normal. And then you go down to 1,000, because there's such thing as too many vitamins and too much supplements, hard on the liver and the kidneys.
I mean, that's very enlightening. I wasn't aware of that.
Think about it. If your body can't utilize it, it's a dose that you'd never see in food ever, no matter what you ate in the day. So when you start doing 2,000, 5,000% of this one and that one, like, whoa, that doesn't occur in Mother Nature. That was never intended for human nutrition in that concentration.
Right. That's crazy. All right, let's move on off the supplements, because what I want to know, when you get to a certain age, and I think it's really like 50 and above, what are foods that we've all been indoctrinated to think we shouldn't be eating, that we're afraid to eat, that we really should be adding to our diet?
Probably the right carbohydrates. I mean, we need to keep them in control in the amounts, but we are not getting the right kind of carb. We eat a lot of white processed stuff, and we need to go back to basic whole grains. Probably the healthiest grain out there, and it's so inexpensive and it's really tasty, is pearl barley. Grain of choice to prevent diabetes, grain of choice to lower cholesterol, because the fiber profile is such that it really does lower your insulin responses, all part of aging. The less insulin you produce, the less aging we have. And so we clearly want to eat whole grains, quinoa, barley, beans, lentils. If you're going to eat rice, brown rice, white rice really doesn't have much value. And again, you can eat whole grain pasta, and there's nothing wrong with eating a pasta. I love the pasta that's on the market. It's in every grocery store, that is half wheat and half legume flour, which is basically bean flour. It tastes exactly, it's one of the top pasta makers. It tastes exactly like white pasta. You would never know that. It doesn't taste like whole grain pasta. It's just like white, but it has very high fiber, making it a healthier carbohydrate. Going back to basic oatmeal, not the packs with the sugar, basic. You can do quick cooking oats in the microwave in 2 minutes, but basically go back to eating whole grains in the controlled amounts that we need for our weight and our activity, which usually means about 5 servings a day for women, and about 7, 8 servings a day for men.
Now, remember that when I started Nancy's Healthy Kitchen, it was all about the fat-free craze, fat-free. God forbid you have any fat in your diet. And what I've learned over the years, and what I've definitely added to my diet and my husband's, we use a lot of olive oil and we eat a lot of avocado. Yeah, they're high in calories and fat, but it's good fat. And so I don't know, the science behind it, but what's your take? Because I don't feel like we gain weight when we have avocado on a salad or add olive oil on bread. Can you explain that?
Yeah, fats are fats, whether they're good fat or bad fat. The calories are about the same, except the good fats like olive oil and avocado have very high anti-inflammatory agents. In fact, people that use 1 tablespoon of olive oil a day have much less heart disease. In big studies done over a 10-year period, they showed that basically the people that got a tablespoon of olive oil a day had much less incidence of heart issues, much less. Wow. And so clearly we know that olive oil, a tablespoon, whether it's in cooking or you use it as your salad dressing with lemon and a day, is really healthy. Avocados, same thing. Although a whole avocado, medium-sized avocado, is like 8 teaspoons of oil. So you want to go easy on it, but having a quarter of an avocado in your salad at dinner is a healthy thing to do. Yeah. So, yes, can you eat 4 or 5 avocados a day? I probably wouldn't recommend that, nor would I say do a quarter cup of olive oil, but that tablespoon and that quarter of an avocado, yeah, good idea.
What about losing your appetite as you get older and not feeling like you want to eat often? For me to have 3 meals a day, I'm not interested in that. It's like, breakfast, dinner kind of thing. But what do we do? Why is it that we're not as hungry?
We're not as hungry because our expenditure is usually less. Also, the appetite center in the brain probably isn't working as well as it should. Sometimes medication, sometimes depression, but other things are just biochemical. The appetite center in the brain isn't probably working as well as it should. You do need to fuel every 5 hours. If you don't, you're going to have a tendency probably to eat if you say, okay, I'm maintaining my weight, but I only want to eat 2 meals a day, that means you're eating more at those 2 meals a day. And that overload can spike blood sugars as we age. Diabetes is running rampant in the United States. We're the United States of diabetes. It's ridiculous how many people are getting pre-diabetes and diabetes. Spreading your food out 3 times a day, which wake hours is usually about every 5 hours, you're eating something, that helps you maintain a more even glucose level, not getting really low and not getting really high. And it takes less insulin. Your body doesn't have to produce as much insulin. Therefore, we preserve pancreatic function, more likely not to get diabetes. So if you don't feel particularly hungry at lunchtime, it doesn't have to be a big deal. It could be an apple cut up with some non-fat cottage cheese and 4 or 5 whole grain crackers. I'm done. Doesn't have to be a piece of wheat bread with peanut butter on and half a banana sandwich. Works really well. A little bit of protein, some whole grain, and some fruit or vegetable. So spreading food out gives you more energy. A lot of people complain that they don't have any energy, but if you eat breakfast at 8 and you don't eat dinner till 7, you've just gone basically 11 hours with no food intake. You're not going to have a lot of energy. So if we need to refuel every 5 hours.
I said, fill that tank up.
Fill it, take up, make sure you're, and not overload. Again, your body is designed to handle so much at one time. I mean, when I do diabetes counseling, one of the biggest mistakes people have that are A1Cs are too high or their blood sugars, which is an average of your blood sugar for the last 3 months, is too high, is because they don't eat and then they overeat. Even though they may not eat that much that day, overeating in one sitting will definitely spike your blood sugar.
How can you make small changes in your diet to have huge success with your health?
Well, one of the reasons we fail is we try to do too much too soon, and then we get really tired of it, and it seems it's too much of an overload and too much of a workload. We just can't do it. We quit. So one way to not quit is to choose a couple things at a time. And let's say we start with 2. Small steps mean big changes. For example, if you don't eat any fruit every day or not enough, eating 2 fruits a day in a month is 60 pieces of fruit. Over 12 months, that's like huge, like 500 pieces of fruit. That's crates and crates of antioxidants and vitamins and fiber. You can manage a small change. If you do 2 or 3 small changes, let's say you choose 2 things to change, that's it. Then the next month, choose 2 or 3 more. When that's in place, 2 or 3 more. That is a successful way you change your eating habits. Total overhaul, most of us try, and you can give it a try. Few people will succeed, but most of us will probably fail because it's too much work and too overwhelming. So start small. For example, if you drink regular soda, go to a sugar-free soda, make that change. Next month, make another change. Add 2 fruits a day. Next month, say I have to eat a cup of vegetables every night. But do those changes. Focus on 1 or 2 little things for a period of at least a month. I'd recommend probably at least 6 weeks before you add another change. That's how people successfully change. Small steps mean big rewards. Our brain can handle it. We can handle it psychologically, and that's how you develop good habits. Repetitive over a longer period of time. If you try to do too many things at one time, it becomes too overwhelming and we fail.
And that applies to everything in life.
You also wrote a wonderful book, The Wellness Kitchen. And how can they find your book, and maybe describe to everybody out there a little bit about your book? It's not just a cooking book.
Yeah, it's not just cooking. It is a cookbook, but the whole front page is everything on disease prevention. It talks about heart disease prevention, the important tips on how to prevent diabetes, what should you do if you have hypertension. All that disease stuff is in the front. And then there's recipes in there for breakfast, lunch, dinner, snacks, even holidays. And yes, there is a dessert section. We didn't say it's good for you. We say it's less bad than because a lot of fruits in those desserts and some whole grains are in those desserts. And those are not to be eaten daily, but they're there for occasions when it dictates a dessert, whether it's a holiday or a party or your treat once a week, that's fine. But basically there's a cooking tip on each one, how to make things cook, how to cook very easily and quickly. It's not something that's gourmet cooking that takes forever. And then there's also a nutrition tip. So there's cooking tips and nutrition cooks on every recipe there.
That sounds great. And people can buy it on Amazon.
It's on Amazon. Yeah.
Paulette, thank you so much for joining us. We need to have you on again. This conversation can go on forever.
Great, Paulette, is you're making it sound easy to cook also, because I think for a lot of older people, they're tired of cooking. They've been cooking for their family for years. And, there's maybe just 2 people, their spouse. This book sounds like it's such a variation of easy, simple things that are not gourmet and not complicated. So it's not only not wanting to eat, it's not wanting to cook, for a lot of people.
Paulette, you
Yeah.
for joining us. So nice to see you.
Oh, gosh, it's great. An eye opener, a mouth opener. Thank you.
You're welcome. Nice to see you.
Nancy,
We're out of time. Oh no.
I got to go get my 2 fruits. Goodbye. Thank you.
Bye, everybody. Thank you for joining us.